Good morning or good afternoon, everybody. Let's start that again, shall we? Hi, everybody, and welcome to this week's online assembly. Thank you very much to those people who've given me some feedback so far. Once again, I'm brand new to this, or still new. I've only done 2 so far, so please, if you do have any thoughts or suggestions, then do let me know. One thing that I noticed, teaching staff in particular, is that my videos are rather short, and normally we'd expect assemblies to be a little bit longer. So where I say pose a question or ask the children to talk to one another, you might want to just pause and take some feedback. You may well have been doing that already, but I hadn't twigged that that's why my assemblies were a little shorter. So this morning we're going to be talking about another one of our school values, something that's really, really important here at Outwards Edge. And I'm just going to flip on my PowerPoint. And the value that we're going to be talking about today is honesty and the importance of being honest in our lives, both here at school but also in the wider world as well. So the first thing I'd like to do, and remember teaching staff, if you want to pause the video for the children to have a chat and then take some feedback, that would be great. The first question, children, is what does honesty mean? So please can you have a chat with the person next to you or people around you. What does honesty mean? Okay, so hopefully you've had a bit of a chat and you've taken some feedback. These are the two definitions, I suppose, that I found on Google. So the Google bits, it said free of deceit, truthful and sincere. So I've said honesty means telling the truth and not telling lies. And lies, as we know, is something that is not real, so it's not true. So me saying that the sky is green today is not true, that's a lie. Now sometimes we might tell little white lies, which means things that are a little bit less significant, or we might tell big lies, and they're serious things that might upset people. But really, even white lies, there's a phrase, a slippery slope. So once we start telling even little white lies, that can be a tricky situation to start off with. So this school value that we have, so honesty, it links to one of our British values, which is the rule of law. And that means, I'm sure you know, that we have rules at school, but we also have rules and laws as a country, and all British people are expected to abide by those laws, and there will be punishments for people who do not respect the rule of law, those people who break the laws in our country. So honesty is one of our school values, so it's really important in everything we do at school, but it's also really important for British people and for people across the world. Honesty is a really great character strength, something that you can practice and do. It's not always easy, but honesty is a fantastic thing to live by. So a couple of stories about honesty. The first one is, and this is a true story, in 2013, a man named Glenn James found a rucksack with $42,000 in it. So a bag, $42,000. Now, Mr. James was homeless. He had very few possessions. He didn't have a lot of money. He didn't have his own home. But he gave the rucksack to the police. So instead of keeping that money for himself, even though that might have helped him in his life, he was honest and gave that money to the police. When people had heard what had happened, they were so impressed with Mr. James's honesty that they started a fund to give him a reward, and over £110,000 was raised. So because he was honest with that 42,000, he ended up with more than double that because people were so impressed with his honesty. Now the second story, this is about a boy called Chen Yifan, and it doesn't give me the year of this story, but it says he's a teenager from China, and judging by the picture of that car, I'd imagine it's a fairly recent story. And it says one day he was riding his bike when he hit the wing mirror of a car. So they're the bits that mums or dad or whoever is driving looks behind them to see if things are safe to move. It says that he hit the car when no one else was around, and it would have been really easy for Chen just to cycle off and leave it. However, he left all the money he had in his wallet and a little note on the car with his contact details to let the owner know that he'd hit their wing mirror. The owner of the car was so impressed with Chen's honesty that he not only returned the money, but gave Chen more money as a reward. So we've got a second story where being honest pays, and people really value that honesty and find a way of saying thank you. Now this story is a story that you may have heard before. It's a bit of a fable or something where we can take a message out of it, and it's called The Boy Who Cried Wolf. Now this, unlike the last two stories, this is a story about where honesty does not pay. Being dishonest does not pay, so it's not good. So we're going to think about what we can learn from the story. So there was once a boy who looked after sheep near the village. So he's called a shepherd, and it's his job to look after the sheep and protect them. The boy was often bored, so one day he decided to play a trick on the villagers to amuse himself. "Wolf! Wolf!" he cried at the top of his voice. The villagers came rushing up the hill to save the sheep, but when they got there was no wolf to be seen, and the boy laughed at them. People don't look very happy, do they? "You must not tell lies," said the villagers angrily, and they went back down to the village. So I think they're probably not very happy because they've had their day disturbed and they've come running trying to protect the sheep from the wolf, and there isn't a wolf there. Soon the boy was bored again, so he shouted, "Wolf! Wolf!" and the villagers rushed up the hill to save the sheep. The boy laughed at them. "You must not tell lies," said the villagers angrily, and they went back down to the village. Later that day, while the boy was watching his sheep, a wolf really did come into the field. The boy cried and cried, "Wolf! Wolf!" And what do you think is going to happen? I think you probably said that the villagers didn't come. And then what do you think is going to happen to those poor sheep? The wolf's going to attack them, isn't he? No one came to help, and the wolf ate all the sheep. So the boy, the shepherd, did not do a very good job of looking after their sheep because the wolf ended up getting them all. So it says here, no one will believe a liar even when he is telling the truth. So the little boy who cried wolf, the reason that story is used quite often is because actually the third time he shouted wolf, he was telling the truth. But because he'd played a trick and because they knew that he was known for telling lies, the villagers didn't bother coming because they thought he was just telling a lie again. So I want you to have a little think and a little chat with the people around you, and teachers feel free to pause the video and take some feedback. What did you learn from the story? Okay, so we're going to think about these 3 questions as well, and again I'm going to pause in a minute and let you have some thinking time. So how does it feel when people lie to us? So say, I'm sure you can all think of a situation where someone told you either a little white lie or maybe even a bigger lie. How did that make you feel? The second question, why is it important to tell the truth? Why do you think that is? And then the third one's a really tricky question, but one I'd like to have a think about. Why do people lie? So I want you to have a little think and a little chat with the people around you, and teachers feel free to pause it to take some feedback. Okay, so hopefully you've had a bit of a chat about those. I certainly think it doesn't feel nice when people lie to us. There's a very grown-up word, betrayed, and sometimes depending on the nature of the lie, so depending on how serious it is, it can feel like a betrayal when someone tells us a fib, especially if we trust that person. And that kind of links onto the second question, why is it important to tell the truth? Well, my mum always used to say to me, it was really important to tell the truth, even if I had done something wrong, because then if I told her that I hadn't done something, then she could always defend me. But if she thought I'd been telling lies, then she wouldn't know, and she wouldn't be able to support me and help me to sort it out. And then why do people lie? Well, that is a tricky one. There are lots of different reasons. People might be think it's a bit of fun and having a joke, like the boy in the story. He was bored, wasn't he? And that's why he lied. People might lie to cover up something that they've done. Maybe they feel a bit embarrassed about it. Maybe they don't want people to know the truth. Or maybe people are just deceitful people, and that means they don't want to tell the truth. They enjoy telling lies and keeping information from people. So lots of different reasons for why people lie, but we know from that first question it does not feel very good when someone lies to us, and so we should know that we shouldn't tell lies to other people. So I've got some scenarios now for you to think about, and in each of the situations I want you to think about what you would do. So if this happened to you, what would you do? Have a talk with the people around you. So this says people sometimes lie to get themselves out of trouble. So I'm hoping when you discussed what you should do, that you said you would go and tell an adult what happened, because you know what, accidents happen all the time. I always remember when I was about 8 years old, I went to a friend's house and we were playing upstairs, and they had a brand new white carpet, and the mum, so my friend's mum, gave us a snack and a drink to have, and I went upstairs with my friend and we were playing, and I spilt this purple sort of Ribena type juice on the brand new carpet, and I was so embarrassed and so upset that I'd made this mistake. But luckily the mum was really understanding. I went downstairs, I told her what had happened, and then she was able to clear it up straight away and it didn't leave a stain. If I'd pretended it didn't happen or tried to cover it up, that stain may never have come out the carpet. So in that situation, it was a good thing that I was honest. It wasn't an easy thing to do because I thought I might get in trouble, but it was definitely the best thing to do. So this one, have a little chat with the people around you. What should you do if this was you in your situation? Okay, so this one says people sometimes lie because they are embarrassed or ashamed. So it looks like the little girl in this picture has broken a vase or knocked something off and broken it. Now again, that's a mistake, and I'm sure she didn't mean to do that. You can see her face looks a bit pink in the cheeks, and maybe that's a sign that she's feeling embarrassed or ashamed about what she's done. But always, honesty is the best policy. So if she went and told an adult, and certainly if there was an accident at school, we would understand. We might still be upset, and it might be if that's mum's favourite vase or something that she might be upset about that having happened, but I'm sure she would understand if it was an accident and if you go and tell the truth in the first place. And then last one, what would you do if this happened? And maybe you're the person doing the pinching, or maybe you're someone who sees the person pinching the girl. What would you do? Okay, so hopefully you said if you were someone who saw this happen, then you would go and tell an adult and say, this is what I've seen. If you were the person who was doing the pinching and an adult or a teacher came and said to you, have you just done this? The best thing to do is to tell the truth, because it says at the top there, people sometimes lie to get away with something that they have done wrong. So maybe the boy in the picture told a fib and told a lie and said, no, I didn't pinch that girl, I didn't do it. But what will happen is that if he tells a lie and then the adults find out, it will be even worse. So what I always say to people who I'm having chats with is honesty is always the best policy. If you are grown up and tell the truth and be honest about the situation, say, yes, I did pinch the person, then there still might be a consequence for that action, but it's likely to be not as bad as if you lie as well. So it's always best to tell the truth. So just finally, how does it feel to tell the truth? It's a bit of a funny question, isn't it? Now, it certainly sometimes feels difficult to tell the truth if you've done something wrong. So say you were the boy in the last photograph and you've pinched someone, or you've broken a vase, or you've broken a window and you kicked the football in the wrong place. It always is difficult to tell the truth. It's one of the most difficult things to do. But to tell a lie and then to have to keep covering up that lie really doesn't feel great either. So it feels better to tell the truth. To be honest, it's a bit of a relief, especially if you think you've really done something wrong. It sometimes feels quite heavy to hold that lie. And if you tell the truth, it can feel like a weight off your shoulders and feel a lot better. And this last little bit says, everyone has to make choices. If we have done something wrong, the best thing we can do is tell the truth. Now, everybody makes mistakes. Children, adults, me, mums and dads, all of the teaching staff, we've all made mistakes at some point in our life. And the best thing we can do is to tell the truth. And then the adults around you or your friends can help you to make it better again and can help you to sort it out. So that's the end of my assembly today. If I can turn my screen round. So I hope that works okay with pausing the video and having a little chat. Now there was a request to make sure that B is in every assembly video. Now she's fast asleep in her crate. So I am going to show you so that you can see where she sleeps. So this is my office, the place where we now have assemblies. And this is the floor. Now as you can see, B has lots of toys around the place. So this is one of her bones to chew and something that and she's just in here, look. She's having a little snooze. Say hello, B. I think she's probably thinking, don't disturb me, I was having a snooze. Now hopefully, sometimes puppies do things wrong. I know B can't really tell me if she's done things wrong, but I'm sure if B was able to use her voice, she would be honest and would say, Mum, I've just broken something, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. So that's what she does, that she comes out to say hello and then she goes back to snooze in her bed. See you later, B. So, school value number 2, because we did respect last week, didn't we? Honesty. Honesty is always the best policy, always a good idea to tell the truth. I hope you have a lovely week and I shall see you soon.